Hey gang, there is nothing like a new guitar day. Unfortunately for me, this is not one of those days. It's not quite that, but it's pretty darn close. You probably recognize this axe. This is my trusted Les Paul with the mini hums, gold top. I love this guitar, love it to death. But one of the things I sometimes want to have is I want to have something that has that wiggle stick on it, right? If I want to give it a little tremolo action. This doesn't have it. Now, if I wanted to add it, I certainly don't want to drill into the top of this guitar. I'm just not willing to do that. So I've purchased the Les Trem by Duesenberg, and we're going to see how easy it is to put it on. Now, they say that it will do no damage to the top, and it's just a retrofit. I believe it's going to work with any of these type of Les Paul bridge and tailpiece setups, stop tailpiece. So anything that has that stop tailpiece. So this, the Gibson Les Paul, I could also put it on my 335, right? Another guitar you're probably familiar with. I'm not going to put it on either of those guitars. The guitar I think it's eventually going to go on is this, which is my Reverend Buckshot. You see it's got that same stop tailpiece, which I love. And this guitar kind of just cries out for a tremolo, I think. So eventually I think it's going to go on here, but I'm going to test it first. And here's the guitar I'm going to test it on. I'm going to test it on this Rob Chapman ML2. Now, I did a review of this. I love this guitar. It's fun to play. It really is. And plays great. The neck is awesome on it. But I got to tell you, if I were going to damage any of these four guitars I just showed you, I'd hate them all. I'd hate to damage any of them, but I'd probably pick this one first because I think the others would be really tough for me to replace. All right, so in any event, I'm gonna replace this. You're gonna see it sort of semi-live. I won't change the strings for you in front, but I'll take you through every step of putting on this Les Trem, and then we'll do a demo at the very end to see how it sounds, all right? So that's coming up. Hey, I wanted to mention that we are now live with the 1970s, Rock Guitar 1970s Volume 1. So if you want to check that out, where Phil Roberts of 15-Minute Guitar Lessons, and I have put together a package, Volume 1, where we take you through each song. We do the rhythm, we do the leads, we have professional tab sheets, not my usual chicken scratch up there, backing tracks, we talk about the tone, we talk about the techniques, we talk about the theory, so it's all contained, everything is there. You can check that out, I'll put a link below, and you can, for now and for the next 5 days, you're gonna, or I think the next 5 days, maybe next 4 days, you can get the early bird pricing where not only you get a price discount, but there's a bunch of other freebies, including one-on-one lesson giveaways from me or from Phil, and Ernie Ball strings for a year. So you can check that out in the link below. All right, let's get on with the replacing these things, okay? All right, let's have a quick look-see at what's in the box. It's not too much. You get the tremolo that's going to sit on the top of the guitar. And then I want to be careful with this because, like I said, I bought it used, so the packages were opened. And unfortunately, this was opened on both sides, so a lot of stuff came out. But you're supposed to get 2 Allen wrenches. I got one. Maybe the other one slipped out somewhere, and a bunch of bolts and hex keys and washers, which is good. Looks like it's all here. And then, of course, the tremolo arm. So there's nothing really complicated that's in the box. So let's get to it. All right, now I'm going to take you through all the steps and pretty quickly, and I'm going to be a little bit cavalier about it. I'm just going to do it on my lap, no workbench or anything like that. So probably don't recommend this method, but I just don't feel like changing my recording setup. The only tools I'm going to use are a flathead screwdriver, a string winder, which is obviously optional, and I also have to use an Allen wrench because mine wasn't included in the box. I bought it used. If you bought it new, you will have all the Allen wrenches in there. Okay, so let's go. First step is to take off the strings. Okay, I've got the strings off. The rest of this I'm going to do a little bit close up, and of course at the end I'll do a demo. All right, I'll get rid of the top half of the strings. I don't think you need to see that. All right, gang, let's go through with step one. Step one, after you take off the strings, is going to be to take out these bolts. There we go, down to the collars. Step two is going to be the thread and test out either the M8 or the US bolts. Now you get 4, and they're conveniently not labeled. So we're going to test them out to see which ones work, and then we're going to promptly take them out. So all I'm going to do is thread this in to see if it threads correctly. There we go. Okay, so it took a little time, and trial and error. You probably won't have to do it because yours are probably going to be labeled. Remember, I bought mine used. So that's it. That's step two. Okay, step three is to actually use the Les Trem to put on the collars and see if there's a gap between there should be a gap between the guitar, between the tremolo and the top of the guitar when you put it on the collars. And there does appear to be a gap on mine. It's hard to see. It's going to be super hard to see in this thing here. But you just want to make sure that there's a gap between the top of the guitar and the bottom of this. If there isn't a gap, then there's a set of washers that you can put in between to make a gap, okay? And that's what you'd have to do. But mine already has a gap, so I'm going to just put it directly on. Okay, step 4 is mounting the tremolo onto the top of the guitar using the mounting screws that we found to fit. All right, step 5 is really super simple. We're just going to tighten these bolts. It recommends that you use the right size screwdriver so that you don't damage these screws. I think probably more important is use the right size so that you don't damage the top of the guitar. Anyway, I'm going to tighten it up. I got the right screwdriver. Okay, so we've got the tremolo mounted onto the top of the guitar. Pretty straightforward. That was about as simple as it could get, man. This is just as easy as changing strings so far. All right, the next thing we're going to do is just pop in the tremolo arm. So I'm going to do that. I've got it. And let me put it in like this. And we want the back end to project about 5 to 10 millimeters. That looks about right to me. And I'm going to tighten up these hex screws now. All right, so I'm going to tighten this hex screw, and I'm going to tighten this hex screw with the Allen wrenches. And done. Super simple. All right. Well, step 7, this is a lot of steps, but it's really pretty simple. Step 7 is just to string it back up and tune it. So I'm going to spare you that. I'm going to string this guitar back up. This is just a total string through on the top, so it's just like a Les Paul would be. Okay, gang, I've got the strings changed. Now you'll want to tune it up to pitch. Eat your heart out, Rick Beato. I've got this headstock tuner on. I'm just going to tune it up to pitch. I've already got it kind of there. What I can tell you is, man, it was easier than a Bigsby to string up. It wasn't quite as easy as a regular Les Paul where you're going through the bridge. It's almost like that, but man, it was a lot easier than a Bigsby. But let's see if it stays in tune and all the rest. The next thing, as you can see, is I've got to tighten up this arm. And now that I've got it into a position that makes sense for me, I'm going to tighten it. Okay, so it looks like that tremolo arm is into place. Looks pretty good. It's not wiggling around too much. So let's do the demo now. That's it. It's done. It's in. No muss, no fuss. Even a klutz like me could do this in half hour with changing the strings. That's pretty darn good. Okay, let's check out the demo. All right, gang. Well, this was amazing. It only took like a half hour to put in, including changing the strings. The strings were super easy, like I said, compared to a Bigsby. But now the moment of truth. Let's see how it works. I don't know if it's going to work so well. So let's give it a shot. A lot of people don't like how it looks. They prefer a Bigsby. That's fine. For me, I like this minimalist look. It doesn't add too much hardware. So for me, I kind of like that. But anyway, let's see how it works. That's the most important thing. I didn't lubricate the nut. Probably should have done that. Anyway, let's give it a shot. Sounds pretty good. You're not going to be doing dive bombs on this, but it seems to come back reasonably in tune. It's a nice smooth action. It's not quite as stiff as most Bigsbys I've used. Although I like the action on the Bigsby. I like this too. So anyway, let's see. Seems like a winner, at least for me. I kind of like it, and it's super easy. Doesn't appear to be doing any damage to the guitar. We'll see when I take it off in a bit. So this may end up on a different guitar. I kind of like it on this Chapman, though, so I think I'm going to leave it on for a little bit. Okay, hope you enjoyed this one, and give this a try if you are so inclined. If you're looking for, hey, I want to add a wiggle stick to one of my Les Paul type of guitars, this may be a lot easier and less expensive than doing a Bigsby itself. Although Bigsbys are cool too, no doubt about that. Okay, until next time, we'll see you on down the road.